Here are some of the most interesting black market items. Number 10. Japan Airlines uniforms. They say one man's trash is another man's fortune. This has never been truer than with the strange case of Japan Airlines flight attendants' uniforms. After years of financial struggle, the airline in 2010 was forced to lay off many of its employees after filing for bankruptcy. However, Japanese airline uniforms are a hit on the Japanese black market. Those who are rich enough to find and buy a uniform are expected to spend around $18,000 per outfit. Because there was a black market for the uniforms, Japan Airlines took strict measures to make sure its uniforms don't end up in the wrong hands. Even though the staff are required to return their uniforms, they still took matters into their own hands by creating a tracking system via unique serial numbers for every uniform. Of course, there are people that created replicas which sell just as well, although it's obviously cheaper. Guess there's just nothing like the real thing. What's the most interesting thing you've bought over retail? Let us know in the comment section. And do us a big favor and hit that like button. Number 9. Holy water. The Middle East is regarded as the birthplace of many religious icons. At the same time, it's home to one item that caused a bit of controversy: holy water. Originating from a well in Mecca, Zamzam water is the most popular version of holy water available to the public. But because the Saudi government has banned its export for commercial use, many people outside Saudi Arabia have gone on the black market to find this holy water for their personal use. The demand for holy water increases during Ramadan, as many Muslims will only drink Zamzam water. In an attempt to stop the black market for Zamzam water, the government has given permission to only authorized stores to sell holy water. But many unauthorized shops have been found selling Zamzam water mixed with normal water. Investigations revealed that the components of the counterfeit water had high levels of arsenic, a known carcinogen. Many vendors say that there were people drinking the supposed holy water every day. It seems like if someone really wants the real deal, the only way to know that it is to go straight to the source. Number 8. Twinkies. We all know how people spiral into a panic whenever they hear their favorite childhood product is going to be discontinued. But have we ever heard of this causing people to buy massive amounts of the product to the point that they have to go on the black market to get their supply? Well, it happened with Twinkies. The company that created the Twinkie was on the brink of financial collapse, and the company eventually did collapse. When news of Twinkies being discontinued hit, Twinkie lovers went into a panic and bought all the Twinkies they could off the shelves. Since they were no longer in stock, people went on the black market to get their fix. eBay sellers were known to offer boxes of Twinkies for ridiculously high prices. Some sellers were able to sell boxes for around $60. As with any craze, at some point people realized they weren't going to spend a fortune on a piece of cake. The Twinkie market slowly started to dry up. For around 10 months, Twinkies were out of stock, but luckily for the people who love Twinkies, they eventually went back on the shelves. Number 7. Cronuts. New York City will always be a place that creates trends. Do you guys remember the Cronut craze? In 2013, New York City was taken over by Cronuts, a trend very few people saw coming. The Cronut was invented by pastry chef Dominic Ansel. In case you don't know, a Cronut looks like a donut and is made from a croissant-like dough, which is filled with flavored cream and fried in grapeseed oil. Once news came out of how good it was, people waited in line for hours outside Ansel's bakery to try them. Of course, as with anything involving a line to get something, there's gonna be a secondary market. When the Cronut first came out, there were Cronut scalpers who would spend hours waiting in line to get a Cronut, only to resell it. Apparently, Cronut resellers were able to make around a few $100s for a few hours of work. Of course, this didn't last long, as nowadays there are numerous shops that sell their own version of a Cronut. But anyone that wanted to try an official Cronut won't forget those intense months where getting a Cronut meant waiting hours in line, or paying a high price for one. Number 6. Human hair. In certain areas of the world, it may be a good idea to put up your hair if you have especially long, nice hair. There's a black market for human hair that's created a high demand for human hair. This trend directly affects anyone with nice long hair. Hair theft has been a recurrent problem in various parts of the world at various times. However, women in South America are targeted for their hair most recently. A group of people come out of nowhere with a pair of scissors, force women to wrap their hair into a ponytail, and then they cut the hair off. Reports of hair theft have come out of countries such as Brazil, Venezuela, and Colombia, where the beauty industry is a very profitable business. A chunk of hair can be sold in the black market for around $500. The situation prompted authorities to crack down on the gangs that were going around cutting off hair. As hair extensions become increasingly popular, and with people willing to pay more for human hair, this is a market that looks like it won't ever be going away. Number 5. Four Loko. Have you guys ever had the pleasure of drinking a Four Loko? Come on, what hardcore partier wouldn't like a drink that's essentially Red Bull with alcohol? The drink was a huge hit because of its potent combination that included caffeine, taurine, guarana, and alcohol. However, the substances in Four Loko proved to be too much for many people. The nickname for Four Loko was Blackout in a Can. Many states went on to ban Four Loko. The ban spiked a price surge, creating a black market for Four Loko that would drive up the price of the remaining cans of the original Four Loko. Sellers began using eBay and Craigslist to sell cans of Four Loko for astronomical prices. A group of women in New Jersey were charged after it was discovered that they were illegally selling the drink for $335 for 3 cases. After the ban, resellers bought the beverage with the intention of selling it illegally. A few months later, the company decided to eliminate the taurine, guarana, and caffeine in the drink and sell a new version that only had red food coloring and alcohol. Seriously? Who would want to drink the new version of Four Loko? Number 4. Casu Marzu. The Mediterranean island of Sardinia is home to a delicacy where the cheese has a special ingredient. Known as basically rotten cheese, Casu Marzu is an Italian creation made of pecorino that's left to ferment, with fly larvae intentionally introduced. The acid from the maggot's digestive system breaks down the cheese's fats, apparently making the texture of the cheese very soft. The European Union has banned Casu Marzu, but for many fans, they'll go to the extra lengths to eat the cheese. It's possible for larvae to survive in the intestine, which is why the cheese is banned. For certain individuals, the black market has become their place of choice to get their hands on a prime piece of Casu Marzu. Prices for Casu Marzu can be 2 to 3 times the price of normal pecorino cheese. It seems that the life-threatening maggots aren't going to stop them from getting the cheese. They don't care if the larvae can infect their body. However, for those of you who want to try it, what's the best way to enjoy it? Casu Marzu with moistened Sardinian flatbread and a glass of strong red wine. Number 3. Baby formula. If you don't have a kid, then you probably don't understand why there's a black market for baby formula. Baby formula is widely used around the world to feed infants between the ages of 6 months and up, and is also known as one of the most expensive necessities new parents have to deal with. For years, many stores in the US have had to deal with people going into a store to steal baby formula, so they can sell the formula later at a cheaper price on eBay, off Craigslist, or even at flea markets. Because a can of baby formula starts at around $20 and can be much more expensive, and demand for baby formula is steady, it's a popular target for thieves. Stores nationwide have taken measures to protect themselves and have now decided to lock the product behind a counter so that customers have to ask for the formula if they want to purchase it. FBI investigations of black market sales of baby formula have found links between resellers and terrorist organizations such as Hezbollah. Some thieves have been able to make a fortune out of sales in the black market. Back in 2004, a group of people were detained for selling $14 million worth of illegally obtained baby formula. Number 2. Black market beers. The online world has made it much easier for people to buy almost anything they want. Ever since eBay decided to stop selling alcohol on their platform back in 2012, people have become very creative when it comes to finding sources for selling their alcoholic products online. With the ongoing trend of artsy craft beers taking over the world, a lot of people are profiting off the explosion of craft beer. Specialty sites are popping up with offers for rare or one-of-a-kind craft beers that go for thousands of dollars, just like wine. Demand seems to be ongoing because these limited edition beers are still selling well. One example is the 1999 bottle of Samuel Adams Millennium that's currently on sale for $1,500. Another example is a collection of mixed Goose Island beers for $1,200. There's also an entire Dark Lord and Goose Island collection for $4,800. Does drinking craft beer really need to get as snooty as drinking wine? Number 1. Tattooed skin in Japan. Japan's relationship with the art of tattooing is as complex as anything else. Tattooing has been practiced in Japan from at least the 3rd century. What was once considered a revered practice became a method of controlling criminals for a period of time during the late 19th century. Japan eventually banned tattooing in the late 19th century, and that remained in place until the end of World War II, forcing those who were interested in getting one to use underground methods to do so. However, tattoos were still considered art. This gave place to a black market that many people around the world would find strange: the sale of tattooed skin. Tattooed skin can make millions as a stretched canvas in underground black markets. Mafia members would approach a host, offering to pay for their tattoos and give the host a little extra money as well. The host would continue with their life as usual, with the artwork on their skin increasing in value year after year. The only catch is that once the host passes away, the wealthy family that paid for the tattoos can collect the skin and sell it. But as with any black market negotiation, certain greedy families may start to become impatient. After all, they may have to wait up to 80 years to collect their investment. So some of them resort to an obviously illegal practice: staging accidents. Supposedly at any one time, a family can have around as many as 100 hosts whose skin they own. Is it just me, or is it pretty risky to become a host? Here's what's next.
Wandered in. He saw an old ammo box, and when he opened it, cha-ching, it was filled with cash money. There were coins, too. In total, he stumbled upon a treasure of about $1,000. Or so he thought. He was so excited that he locked the box in the trunk of his car and told his wife about the discovery. Upon